Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Drought-Crops Update Weekly for the week ending September 16, 2022. So let's get to the products and see what happened this week out in the great U.S. So we start with the firm's USA fire map, and again we're tracking these large fires that are burning up in the northwestern part of the U.S. Some change, some rain coming through the area this past week. We'll check the Moose Fire. It has grown again. It is 130,000 acres. It's 50% contained right now. Let's take a look and see what the map looks like. And so this image does not show any active burns around. In fact, none of them do. So I'm not sure why that is what it's like, unless that rain over the past couple of days put these things out. So we'll keep. I haven't looked at this since last week. So all these red spot fires that were burning all around the perimeter appear to be gone. So let's go to the MODIS. Probably a lot of cloud cover, and because again rain has moved through the area, you can see some lingering smoke down in the valleys still. As we zoom out, there's still smoke off to the west. You can see smoke. Here's smoke coming from the Cedar Creek fire in Oregon, and it's spreading smoke throughout the Great Basin area. Another big fire down in the looks like in the Sierra in California that's spreading fire or smoke throughout the Nevada area. Over here in my part of the world, rain has moved through the past couple of days. We have received about 0.45 inches over the past 24 hours. And right now this morning it's crystal clear sky, beautiful out, no smoke in the air, but that may change. So if we look at the current GOES satellite, the images are just starting to come in for the western U.S. Again, you can see that big rain center that's moving through, and the Black Hills are peeking out in this window in here, and again it's nice and clear here. And on this image right now it doesn't look to be like a lot of smoke. So hopefully things are going to clear out. Hopefully they got rain back there in Idaho and Washington and help put those fires out. So let's go to the drought indicator map, and this slide we're looking at right now is the end of last week, September 6th. As we move the slider from right to left, we're going to go from September 6th to September 13, and you're not going to see many changes. There is a change down here in very southeastern Iowa where it has gone to extreme drought, and then this one down in the southwestern New Mexico goes away. Other than that, it's pretty much unchanged. So we'll move the slider through here, and you can see that everything is remaining really consistent until we get to that area in Iowa, and you see that appeared down there in Iowa. Everything else is about the same, not much of a change. Again, that droughty area in the southwest New Mexico has gone away, but for the most part things have remained pretty much the same, even though the southwest has been getting a lot of monsoonal type precipitation and a lot of rain, and we'll see that reflected in the soil moisture here in a minute. So we'll go to the NDVI, which is looking at vegetative growth. This is the composite image ending 9/10. And you can see that some of these the conditions that have been pretty prevalent in the west with these oranges and reds are somewhat pulled back from what they've been the previous weeks. And again, a lot of that may be attributed to the monsoonal rains. And also there was that large storm that came up through Baja and then swung all kinds of moisture up into Arizona and maybe even into Utah, Nevada, and California. So let's step through the daily NDVIs, starting back at last week on the 10th. And this is where we ended last week, this big swath of a flash drought moving across the country toward the east. And as we go on to the 11th, that had moved off to the east, and again being more established now on the west. So again, showing the spotty conditions of drought moving through day to day, having to do with local weather conditions, rain, excessive heat, and a lot of recording what's happening on the daily schedules in the region. So another big flash drought moving through here. This could be storm related as well with rain. So these periods that show up as this very low NDVI may be just as much due to hot weather and no moisture as it is to a lot of moisture. And you can see that continuing to move through eastward. And on the 16th, yesterday, it looked like this. And again, the weekly composite is here. Again, you can see these regions up here like in Washington and northern Oregon. This is Montana. This is a lot of area that has been wheat harvested already, so the ground is relatively bare, low NDVI, no vegetative growth happening in those areas. And we should start to see some of those changes out here in from essentially the Missouri River eastward as the corn harvest starts getting underway here in the next week or two. So we come to look at the soil moisture map, and this is soil moisture anomaly in the upper layer of the soil for 9/14, just a couple of days ago. And so the darker browns and getting into kind of the reddish tones, those are high soil anomalies from an average, and so these are drier regions. And again, we can see that drought area stretching through the center of the United States. Again, the deep blues over here in the southwest, these are soil moisture anomalies that are above normal, so reflecting these monsoonal rains that have been coming through this area as those soils are being replenished. Daily value for 9/14, this is just a day soil moisture, and these numbers are reflecting cubic centimeters of water in cubic centimeter of soil. And so the more blue, the higher that level is. So down here in very southern part of Florida, it's above 0.6 cubic centimeters per cubic centimeter. So very wet soils. And then as we move into the yellows, now we're about maybe a 0.2, 0.25 cubic centimeters per centimeter. And then in the very droughty areas, again through this area, central Texas up through Nebraska, they're essentially 0.05, so very dry soil. So these conditions have been, again, we've been seeing these maintain themselves for the past month or so. Okay, crop progress, looking at the corn progress. Right now in the U.S., roughly 22% of the corn is mature. We can see that right here. There has been some harvest, so total harvest is maybe in that 5 to 8% right now, mainly in the south. Texas has had a relatively high corn harvest. 68 or 70% of their corn has been harvested. Again, we're behind what it has been in previous years, but we should see that really ramp up here in the next couple of weeks. If we look at the corn maturity report, and this is interesting, these columns, this first column here is what it was at the end of September 11, 2021 versus what it is now in 2022. And just for an example, Minnesota here, big corn growing state in our region. I guess that doesn't work that well. So 32% mature by this date last year, and this year 8%. Okay, so we can see that most things are behind the harvest. Again, there are some harvested areas. Texas says 64%. North Carolina is 46%. Kentucky or Kansas is at Kansas 21%. Other than that, most people have not started harvest yet, but that's pretty consistent with what it was last year. So we'll keep an eye on that. Well, what can we expect for weather over the next few weeks? Again, this model is looking at 6-hour time slices. This is 6 a.m. today, September 17. And again, you've looked at that GOES map, there was that big cloud area right over here, and that's this precipitation right here in the central part of the upper Great Plains. Again, the Black Hills are peeking out now in the sunshine. So we can have somewhat of a high place a high percentage of what this map says is going to happen over the next day or so, and then when it gets longer, then it's kind of a suggestion. And so as we move forward over the next couple of days, we can just see storms moving through, very spotty throughout the west. Again, a lot of activity more down in the southeast and the Gulf area of the United States. Low coming into the Northern California area. Hopefully that'll help abate some of the fires that are burning over there. That's here just in a couple of days. And we continue to move this forward, and most of the northern Great Plains, though, you see is high and dry. There is a hurricane now. I believe this has been upgraded to hurricane status over the night, coming through the Lesser Antilles, brushed through Puerto Rico. I don't think it hit it very good. Doesn't look like here. And the projection is it's going to stay well offshore. and so we hope that remains that, and this thing moves off into the Pacific. Okay, so continuing to move through, by the time we get up to the September 21st, it looks like a pretty good rain band possible. So this is 4 days out, probably has a pretty good chance of happening. So hopefully that'll deliver some rain and help abate some of these fires that are burning. And by the time we get out to the 23rd, 24th, again, the west is kind of in that high and dry situation. The entire country is pretty dry in here, and things stay that way until we get to about the 28th or so, which will be coming up. And it looks like there could be a relatively big storm moving in, bringing some precipitation again to the western part of the country. Here on the 29th, a big band of rain comes through. So if this does hold here, this is again 10 days away, but that looks like to be able to deliver good moisture for the fire conditions in here. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning and kind of speed through a little bit. You get a better idea of what the weather patterns are going to look like. So again, this is a model. It's not saying this is what is going to happen, but spotty rain conditions, no real big systemic type storms until we get up to that 28th, 29th. This right here in the west looks to be possibly something of a good relief for local conditions across the drought areas in the west. So that's kind of what things look like today. Hope you enjoy this content, and we'll keep watching the harvest and track that as it goes through, looking at NDVI, and hopefully we'll be able to see some NDVI changes as the corn harvest comes through the corn states. Okay, thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week. Have a great week, everyone.